Hello, this is Jared Wignall, and this is another film commentary. Today, I will be talking over the film Taxi Driver. And if you want to get your copy of it synced up, whether it is a DVD, a Blu-ray, or if you have if it's on like a streaming service like Netflix or anything like that, get it ready. And we'll begin in 3, 2, 1, play. This film came out in 1976 and is 40 years old this year. I rewatched this for on its 40th anniversary, and it's still an amazing movie. I'd have to say this film would be my favorite film by both Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro. Like, this would be my favorite film if I'm doing a top 10 list for Martin Scorsese movies, and this would be my favorite performance by Robert De Niro. I know some would say probably like Goodfellas would be better, but I just love the grittiness and overall dark tone of this film. Just a little more. Plus, I feel it's a more interesting character study. And that shot of the eyes is very apparent. You see that often throughout the film, the eyes thing is kind of like an important factor because it kind of comes up later in the film. And this movie was nominated for 4 Academy Awards. I guess I would have liked it if it was nominated for 6, but it was nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor for Robert De Niro, Supporting Actress for Jodie Foster, and Best Original Score for Bernard Herrmann. And this was the last film, Harmon actually. This is the last score he ever did, and it's an amazing score. And Bernard Herrmann would be best known for the films of Alfred Hitchcock, and I felt that this was a great film. That was like this. I feel like this was a great film. That would have been his last. Is an amazing score. This guy, who is De Niro was talking to, is also in Rocky, film that beat Taxi Driver for Best Picture. He was really good, and then in the background we see Peter Boyle, who's like his wizard. He's somebody who Travis here talks to often. And yeah. Here we get to see all the taxis, and now we're back to seeing Travis. I have to say, there's an interesting character study or better yet, a film analysis of Taxi Driver that I think I'll put a link to it in the description of this video. There's actually it's a two-part analysis. So it's kind of long, but I feel it's worth checking out. It's very well done. And now we get to hear the narration of Travis, which I always enjoyed. Is like it gives us a deeper it gives us more insight into the character. Tells us a little more than some of the perhaps actions that are going on, as well as just perhaps his looks, which obviously is done purposely, but sometimes narrations can just kind of be like a device to just kind of tell the story in a sense of like, here's what's going on and what will happen if perhaps if a character does this or that, or to give certain descriptions of various events that we don't see, or perhaps we did see, but it was only a glimpse. And now, here we see he's gonna get. Yeah, he's taking like this guy someplace so he can have sex with this prostitute. Some kids with a fire hydrant. I just love the story of Taxi Driver. It's a very interesting story about a guy who is very lonely and then attempts to try to like make some certain kinds of relationships, but he like fails, and it's just an interesting character study. And peace. Now going to the porn theater, and I remember like Scorsese saying they had up like that you could like hear the kind of like the audio of the people like having sex, but you couldn't obviously like see it because it was like hardcore or something along those lines, and just very explicit. And now we see Travis trying to hitting on this woman, which is kind of like the first glimpse of trying to look for some sort of relationships. And as you can tell, he's not very good with it or with women. But then again, I don't know if a porn theater perhaps would be the best place to pick up women. But then again, it might be. You never know. Yeah, it's all blurred out. And isn't this a nice theater? It's very small, a small screen, but then again, I guess you probably wouldn't really care if it's a movie you'd want to see. I said earlier that this film lost Best Picture to Rocky. I personally think this film would be the best film of 1976. And there's Martin Scorsese sitting there, and there's Sybil Shepherd, who plays Betsy. We'll also see Scorsese later on in the film playing like a memorable character, or maybe that's the same character. I don't know. Here's Albert Brooks. He's very good in this film. All the actors are great in this movie, really. Palantine. In Star Wars, for like Return of the Jedi, when George Lucas was like creating like the name for the Emperor, which is now Palpatine, thought of doing like Palantine. However, he thought he could get sued by people, those who produced Taxi Driver, so he just changed it to Palpatine. Or did I say Palantine? Might be Palantine. Yeah, Palantine. Yeah, I don't know. I guess because Palpatine is, I guess that's why it's. And hearing that the name was help inspire Lucas to create the Emperor's name, but I think that's a little example of some influence that this film kind of had, even if it's something a little like that, just of a character. Palantine inspired Palpatine's name. Yeah, as I was saying, I do feel this film is the best film of 1976, and that. But Rocky is a very good movie. I do love Rocky. It's a great movie. I think this, film, just the characters, the story, the overall feel of the movie, I think, is kind of helps make it like as memorable as it is. And as a result, it's regarded as a classic. I mistakenly said this film was nominated for 6 Oscars. I feel the Oscars that this film should have also received, aside from the 4 it got, was Best Director and Best Screenplay, Original Screenplay. this film was really a work of genius. Everybody involved put their all in, and just, they wanted to make the best movie they could get or make, and they succeeded. One reason I think this is De Niro's best performance is just because of how interesting of a character he makes Travis to be. Because the character himself, I mentioned that analysis for this movie earlier. He he kind of feels a little bad, or he feels like he's not a very good guy. And as a result, the guy who analyzes the film says that because of this, he tries to infuse or take Betsy into his world, because she's good and beautiful, where he himself, he feels that he is not a good person, so he wants to bring her into the world he has, or he makes, or he has made for himself. Also, the fact that Bickle is a Vietnam veteran could also could explain some of his perhaps interactions with people. Also, the writer Paul Schrader said, Travis is kind of like a racist character, in that it has some sort of little prejudice or so for, or like against black people, and you see little glimpses of it in the film. Here, for instance, just the way he's looking at the pimps. Even Charlie T, Doughboy, and yeah, here's his interactions with the other taxi driver. But he it's kind of, it's very awkward. It's like he doesn't really know exactly how to interact with them, and the only one he actually really is able to interact with is like Wizard, Pure Boyle's character. I just like how he just stares into the water with Alka-Seltzer. Errol Flynn's bathtub. I always found that interesting. It's like just some odd. It's very kind of a little odd, I guess, if you actually stop to think about it. But then again, this is Doughboy we're talking about, so it does fit with the character. But I think perhaps it could be seen as first viewing might be a little odd. And there's more scenes with inside the Palatine, like a place like that. I just can't think of what this is called, or this is called, and this will probably come to me later on, but the interactions between these two characters they're just very funny. Tom and her. This heard that Albert Brooks improvised a good portion of his lines because he's also a comedian. He's like a stand-up comedian, and I think the character is brilliant. He's trying to impress Betsy, and she's kind of like not really. It's like she's kind of into him, but then not really. Like she's just flirting. She's just flirting with him as he is too. He's trying to tell her. He also at one point says, "I love you." It's just kind of tells you enough about that character. And here he's gonna come to talk to Betsy, and yeah, he also in the analysis he kind of tries to put some of thoughts into her, kind of like saying all the stuff around her at this within this place isn't really heard. It's not really meaningful to her. It's just things. Well, that is to well, that's very true for him, and like not really her. It's not very true. He's just trying to influence himself onto her. Now he's gonna get or try to get her to go on a date with him, just to have a coffee. I guess in the context of this film, it could be like conceived as a date, at least for Travis. Some interesting little stuff about the film. In order to prepare for this movie, De Niro, he got a hack license and actually drove a cab for a good while, like some weeks or even months. I can't exactly recall off the top of my head, but he he won an Oscar for The Godfather Part 2, and as a result, because he drove cabs, he got some who recognized him, and some of these people actually recognized him and said, "You won an Academy Award, and now you're back to this." Like people thought he was like so, like he couldn't get another job after Godfather 2, so he had to he even tried to convince some of those people he drove around that him driving the cab was for research for a movie. But those people really didn't believe him, and some even gave him a good tip as resort or as a result of it, because like they kind of felt bad that here he was like in the biggest like movie of the previous year. Now he's driving a cab. It's kind of an interesting and amusing story. Here he's gonna try to suck the guy or suck Betsy a little more into his world, saying all this stuff. I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but this movie is so amazing that it's one of those things where when you're watching a great movie that you just get sucked in to what's going on. This film is the second collaboration between Scorsese and De Niro. The first was Mean Streets in 1973, which also featured Harvey Keitel. Overall, De Niro and Scorsese have collaborated on 8 films so far. There is supposed to be a 9th film where called The Irishman. And if I'm recalling correctly, because there wasn't a whole lot of information about this movie that's being developed with the two collaborating together. But it's about Jimmy Hoffa. Also, Joe Pesci will be involved in the film as well, who's acted along with De Niro in many Scorsese films, like Raging Bull, Goodfellas, and Casino. And now he now and now he's gonna see a movie with her. And it's also very telling that he isn't very good with talking to women, or not just talking to women, but just interacting with them, because the choice of film he decides to take her to isn't necessarily what you would want to go to on a date. And here we're gonna see pretty soon. Okay. Yeah. Palantine said the guy that Betsy's working for to campaign for her. He now he's just kind of I like this interaction between Travis and Palantine. And some of the stuff he says stuff he says about or to Palantine is still very telling of his character. It's also important that the dynamic between Travis with Palantine now and what will happen later. If he and here, it's also very and obviously he's just saying all that stuff because because of Betsy, and also perhaps maybe he could even mention that he drove the senator somewhere. And now here we are introduced to Iris, Jodie Foster's character. And she was 12. She was 12 years old when they made this film. And here's Harvey Keitel's character, Sport. Originally, the Sport character was designed, or was supposed to be like was written like as a black man, but they decided because of the other racial undertones with Travis and other black characters in this film, it wouldn't be very good. The little subtlety of hints that he is like a racist character were enough. You didn't need to have this antagonist to also be black. We don't need that. And now a bunch of people throwing stuff at his cab because I guess that's just what people did back then. And he's just looking at the 20 he was given. He puts it in his pocket, or like his jacket pocket, and like which is kind of perhaps interesting. And also note that he's wearing the same exact like clothes when you first saw Betsy or met her properly, as opposed to him watching her through the taxi cab. This guy was actually a street performer. I just came across him and thought, this guy is so cool. Let's just put him into the movie. I used to try to like persuade her a little more by one day coming to her place and just listening to that record. And this is what I was talking about, him not really knowing or not very good at interacting with women. I don't know how many women would enjoy a first date going to see porno. I myself am a fan of porn because, oh, that's nice. Because I myself love films with plot. Oh well, that was nice, and you can see how uncomfortable Betsy is. You know, I'm actually surprised she actually lasted as lasted that long. Oh well, that's that's really sucks. He's trying to just not to basically lose her. Like just he just doesn't want her to go. I have to say, I have to say, she was she was very forward about not liking that movie. There's also something about the film analysis that's talked about this scene. Like maybe he isn't actually talking to Betsy because he says something about flowers here, and that like he sent flowers to her, but then she says she didn't get it to him, or at least so we at least know because of Travis's response. Yeah, yeah. Did you get the flowers? He said, and now the camera moves away from Travis as he keeps talking, and that was some people have wondered about that shot, and the guy was saying like it might even suggest more about the character. So here we see all the flowers. However, if he sent them, why would they perhaps even come back? Like he's just like bought a whole bunch of flowers, but it's kind of like he's torturing himself because she rejected him, and as a result, he's just kind of just gonna beat himself up about it. And now he's gonna just confront her about It's also very he's really kind of just now really unraveling now. And now we see Scorsese again. And this is a character that's very memorable also. There's an interesting story with this. The guy who was supposed to play this part like had an accident, so he was unable to play it. So Scorsese decided that he himself would just play this part. And Scorsese is very good at these performances. He's a very good actor. You know, he has bit parts in a good portion of his movies. And this is a film just as this character is just very interesting. It's particularly his little stuff he's going to say later on, very shortly. Oh, hey. And what else to say about this? Let's talk about Harvey Keitel's character. You know, he's a pimp, and he has long hair, and that was because Harvey Keitel was doing a play, and as a result, he had to like shave his head. So he chose to wear a wig. And I don't know exactly. I'm not so certain. I'm not really hugely fond of his hair. But yeah, him shooting his wife in the face or in the vagina with a 44 Magnum is kind of insane. Actually, it isn't kind of. It is insane. And this guy probably isn't really going to do that. If anything, he would probably just smack his wife and yell at her and all that stuff. That's the kind of character that he is. More interactions with, or more scenes in the cab or with the cabbies. Charlie T. He's a character that's, you know, I like the Charlie T character. He's I don't know who this guy is. We don't really see a whole lot about him. It's really only in this scene. We see like Charlie T and now we're gonna. That kind of makes Travis nervous. And here we're gonna get to witness Wizard giving Travis some worldly advice, which isn't that. Which, as we're gonna, witness, isn't very helpful. Hey, calm Wizard's been around. Things got Travis down. So, what's your advice, Wiz? And here's a little more. Like foreshadowing of what's to come. He wants to do something. I got some bad thoughts. His job becomes what he is. It's this kind of advice isn't very helpful to Travis's situation or problems that he might have for needing advice. One guy dies, another's born. Go get laid is essentially his advice for Travis. It's not. Yeah, these. And here he's like, it's the dumbest thing Travis has heard. Well, yeah. Yeah. Seems as if Killer is Travis's name, like Doughboy Wizard or Wizard Wiz. Charlie T. Though his name's probably Charlie anyway. But so I guess Travis would be killer, which is also a very kind of like appropriate nickname. Now he's watching Palantine. He's like just kind of like getting obsessed. He starts getting obsessed with things. Like he got obsessed with Betsy, and also he retroactively still is obsessed with her because he's watching Palantine, and he'll also be kind of get obsessed with Iris, Jodie Foster's character, too. This character is somebody who gets obsessed by people, and whether it is like either he envies the lives of others, or he kind of wants to help others but doesn't exactly know how to do so. Driving by the place and she isn't there. Campaign volunteer. That's what I was thinking. I couldn't remember, which is actually kind of dumb too, since this is at the time of this recording is an election year, and here we see Iris again. Almost being run over by Travis. Apparently, the woman she's with is somebody she was kind of like studying or like kind of shadow, because that woman's a real like prostitute and like a drug addict. So she met with her, and they didn't really have a connection as she hypothesized was like probably like the writer and director's hopes was they would get together, talk, and just kind of like hit it off and kind of like she'd kind of like start picking her brain or so, and that just wasn't the case. Now I was describing his loneliness and he's God's lonely man, and he thanks. All these scenes with him in his apartment writing in his journal are scenes I really love, because you get to you get more you get inside Travis's mind a lot more, specifically when he's in his apartment, because he's all alone. There's never anybody else in there but him, and now he's gonna get a. He's gonna get some guns. Those are. And that's a very powerful gun. At the time, kind of like how Dirty Harry said at the time of the 70s, it was the most powerful handgun in the world, but now it isn't. I forget what gun is, but it's no longer the 44 Magnum. It's getting a little smaller guns. The 38 snub and this guy is just like he's just making some stuff up as he's just trying to make this sell better, you know. It's like all he knows is the names of the guns and like if there's any certain kind of specific metals with them. But things like you can stop an elephant with or you can hunt an elephant with a 44 Magnum. Yeah, he's saying all the officers got that gun in wartime. Now you can testing them out like for putting them in his pants and all that. I love this little handmade holster for the 44 Magnum. And now he's trying to see if he wants some drugs. This guy's trying to get more. Now a Cadillac aside from drugs and guns. Now he's working out to like get healthier and get in shape. Pull-ups and just like how skinny he is in this film. He's playing an insomniac. You know, people with insomnia might be very thin. And now he thinking more about some more ideas. And now comes the part of the film that is probably the most memorable of all the scenes. Mostly because of the quote that has become so synonymous with this film. which Robert De Niro says he won't even say that anymore because he's kind of like, he's been asked so many times to say it that he just got to the point where he doesn't want to anymore. And I can understand that, you know. He's practicing how fast he can take out some guns. And I like what he does here. I like the little contraption he makes. It's very it's very ingenious. Particularly for what eventually this is used for. Uh, Having the knife taped to the boot. Running the I recall if doing that on bullets, well, kind of like make them like explode upon impact. Actually, I misspoke. This isn't that. That isn't that scene yet. That's supposed to know for, but it's coming up soon. Here, he's just looking around where Palantine will speak. These little interactions he has with people, there's like important as well as some of them are just kind of could perhaps seen as comedic, like this one. The guy is talking to this Secret Service guy. It's just, but this is also very telling of what he's also up to. Like, uh, yeah. Like, I like this. I like this. He giving a fake name and address. Or it could be a real name and address. And you know, if gets to think, that got me thinking, if this was a real address and this guy did live there, he would. This guy who they go to look up this Travis. All of a sudden, this guy. Yeah. Yeah, this guy. Senator has arrived, and now everybody. Now here's the scene I was talking about. I guess kind of talking about this is so. I think everybody's really talked about this, but as people know, this was all improvised and is one of the most famous improvisations of in film history. Because apparently all this scene said was Travis stares in the mirror and talks to himself. Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's that line. You talking to me? And with that, a legendary quote was born. Some say it has perhaps a profound importance with the character. I love this little flub and cut. Like I gotta redo that again. Let me do that again. And here is. Yeah, it's very, very, very dark tone. This kind of film I really love. It's all dark, gritty. And here's this. Here's this. His guy. And now this guy. This scene, is another film. As now he has a panicked. the this scene is kind of like very all of a sudden it's like a little kind of changed gears for a moment because we're even though it does fit obviously within the film, but still. And now he's just watching couples dance, still torturing himself over this failed attempt at a relationship. You know, it's not really healthy for him to be doing this to himself, but I really doubt he cares. I would like to say that I would have to say that I think for like films, like a of decades, I think the 70s was the best decade of movies. You had Star Wars, Jaws, you know, obviously Taxi Driver, Godfather, The Godfather 2, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Serpico, all that jazz, The Deer Hunter, Being There. Now, A Clockwork Orange, films that were very huge. Also, like movies like THX 1138 and American Graffiti. Though I guess THX though is really a cult film, but still influential later on in life in many people's film and directors. Yeah, he's writing a letter to his parents. We could hear this all while observing Palatine's speech from a distance. He's also lying. He's also just like lying to his parents about being in a relationship. Now he's still torturing himself watching couples on TV with movies now. Maybe this is a TV show. Either way, he's still torturing himself. But also, I also wanted to comment on his apartment. You know, it's not particularly a great place. You know, it's kind of like it's very dirty. Palatine. He has a lot of stuff. There's that sign he was talking to Betsy earlier in the film. that organized. But yeah, he has a lot of junk food also. He's still has all that, even though he told himself that he was going to like get healthier. And now we're back to Jodie Foster's character. And now we get to actually see now we actually get to see yeah. Yeah, up until now, we've only like really seen like his hair and back of his head, just heard his voice. Now we actually get to see Harvey Keitel. So here's what I mean with the hair. I don't know. I mean, I guess it does work with the character, but yeah, it does work with his character. But still, I have to say, it's very interesting choice. And Travis is kind of like he doesn't know exactly what to make of this guy. Keeps calling him a cop. He's hip, but it doesn't look good. And Travis is just like he's trying to like figure him out now. Now we're gonna get to see where a very important part of the film will take place later on. This I also remember Jodie Foster like said she wasn't very comfortable wearing the clothes she had to wear. And like her mom was on set or was there. She wasn't really on set, but she had to be there because of the child actor laws. Yeah, I remember she's complaining like to her mom like I don't want to wear these kind of clothes, and then her mom's like, you chose to take this part, so it's it's like on you. Like her mother didn't try to talk her out of this movie because here he's trying to get information out of her, and she's like trying to kind of like he wants to now save Iris because Jodie Foster's sister would double for her for some scenes like this because for the more like suggestive scenes. Yeah, he wants to try to save Jodie Foster. This film made John Hinckley Jr. Obsessed with Jodie Foster, and he got so obsessed with this movie he wanted to get her attention. He's like sending letters to her, and he stalked her, and she didn't, like it. And this culminated with Hinckley shooting at President Reagan. And as a result of the incident, it made some controversy for this film. This film had some controversy already with with the violence and darkness this movie already had. But when that happened, it just got really controversial. And Jodie Foster, upon finding out, who did it, and exactly why he did it, she just, she doesn't want to ever talk. She doesn't really like to talk about it, and that's understandable because, one of the earliest movies you'd do, some guy gets obsessed with you. And also, when you really think about it, it's kind of creepy because in the movie, or when they made the film, she was 12 and a half. Or 12. And then, like 4 years after the release of this film, she would have been like 13 or so. So like 4 years later, this guy's gonna go and try to get her attention, and then shoots at the president. That's not gonna really. Yeah, I can understand why she doesn't like talking about it. and he just gave that guy the money. Sport gave him. Now he's trying to. Now he's meeting with her in the morning, and he just really wants to trying to convince her to go back home because she doesn't need to be doing what she's doing right now. Like being a prostitute isn't any kind of life for her, for anybody, but especially a 12-year-old. You know, what she's doing, like putting like sugar on her, like jelly and toast. It's kind of that. That's. I always kind of thought her what she was eating was always like was interesting, and I'm like, why? I believe that if I remember right, she that line is very important because we've seen, throughout this movie, Travis looking through the rearview mirror. And but yeah, about the food that she's eating, like it's kind of like it wouldn't be very healthy putting a bunch of sugar on toast covered with jelly. He's trying to convince her that Sport isn't a good guy when she's trying to say otherwise, but he doesn't. But she doesn't really want to listen to it. Now, and now she's saying he should go to like a commune with her. Oh, yeah, because of yeah, he's gonna try to kill a senator. She thinks. I have to say that the interactions between Iris and Travis are anyway are good. Like this also sparks another obsession of Travis's. He wants to save her, and with Betsy, he wants to impress her, and he's kind of like in limbo or at a crossroads of sorts with how he's going to really with, or how he's going to go about with his plans. He obviously has thought about what he's doing, and here you see Sport and Iris just talking. And also, it's kind of important to know that this is like the first scene where Travis is not actually present. I mean, he's outside in this cab, but unlike the other scenes with Betsy and Tom, there was windows, he could see them and he could see her. Here he can just only imagine what's going on up there. Harvey Keitel has a fake fingernail on his pinky. He said he saw some pimps and that would be like this used for like cocaine. So he used that with him. And not knowing what's going on up there, just angering Travis because he wants to do something, but he just doesn't seem to know exactly what the approach would be for her or to help her out. Now he's at the shooting range again. I always liked that, how it's all I always liked how that scene when he was shooting, the camera would come close and then it would go further back. I thought that was pretty cool. And now he's finally burning the dead flowers that could he have sent them to at one point too. Yeah, Betsy, or did he not? Well, either way, he just had a bunch of old flowers. Now there's some money for Iris for the commune. And now we see one of two attempts of some sort of I guess trials or so of sorts with Travis, with like the women in his life. Here he's gonna try to do something to, like, he wants to destroy one important figure. He wants to destroy this figure to Betsy, being Palantine. And here we finally get to see a very iconic look to Travis, which is also synonymous with this film. His mohawk. It's as synonymous as you talking to me. I actually kind of think that's a kind of a cool look. I myself wouldn't ever really want to have a mohawk just because, I don't know, that's just isn't a style that I think would be fitting for me. But I don't know, it kind of fits kind of like Robert De Niro as well as the character. I also want to say that they actually glued a skull cap down for the scenes with the mohawk with De Niro, and the hair is like horse mane, and they poked little holes to give it like a poke little things for like where the hair would grow back. And I can only imagine how much it would, hard work it would be to glue De Niro's entire head, like hair down. And they did that because, you know, they still had scenes to film, so they couldn't just shave De Niro's head with only like a mohawk left. So that attempt to destroy an important figure in one of the women Travis has meant failed. But will his other attempt succeed? Well, if you've seen this film, which I'm assuming you have, we clearly know the answer to it. And this scene, they had to like turn down the color so it kind of has this darker tone, which is what Scorsese said. It was kind of like a. I believe he said it was like kind of like a dream, like state or look. Yeah. Yeah. And Scorsese has said he wanted to he wishes that there is that I would imagine that would hurt a lot. Getting shot in the gut, that's never fun. But yeah, Scorsese, I remember him saying like he wished there was all these scenes like prints still existed with the original color intact to like put later on like VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray releases and all that, and Laserdisc. I just love that he just blew that guy's hand off. Oh, and dropped his 44 Magnum, and that's. But I have to say that, yeah, that again was a cool effect. Apparently, somebody with like a fishing line pulled back, and the entire like hand just flew off. And now here comes this guy coming to drops his gun. That sucks. And I just, and that's that's what I was kind of talking about. It's very a genius thing he created for this situation. Of course, I don't advise people to make this. However, unless you live in a dangerous area, well, then. But that was just very genius thing he created, particularly with the fact that it was like all done with stuff like around his home. Oh, that can't be good. Oh, and there's that guy and his brains all over the wall. And yeah, and all of this was like done for like a suicide thing for him. Like he's gonna kill all these guys so she could be free, and then, especially since he's trying to testing if there's any more bullets in his guns, all these guns, and there aren't. Um, and apparently, the writer said he always thought uh, Travis died in this film with like that. However, I don't really think he did. Because the wounds he had aren't really that horrible. He got shot in the arm, and then both of his arms, I guess. And then like that little nick on his neck. Yeah, but no, he only got shot in the one arm, but I guess with all the blood everywhere. I don't know why I said he got shot like in both arms. I guess that was only attributed to the blood. Like I guess like it all ran down his arm and onto his hand, and that's clearly not what happened. And I always kind of saw this is kind of like God's eye view of the aftermath of the room with all the two dead guys, and the cops there. It's also like it's all like frozen in time because everybody literally just stands there and doesn't really move. All the blood. They had a, in order for it not to get like an X rating, they had to decolorize the film print for this scene. Sport still had his gun. all these people who gathered around, seeing what happened. I wonder if exactly like how fast the cop. It's always made me wonder how fast the cops got there. Like, did somebody when he first shot Sport call the cops, or what? Either way, the response time was like, at least from the way it's edited, is very fast. And now we get to see some of the articles that were written about him. Uh, Basically, Travis is a hero now for killing all those guys and saving Iris. That was Scorsese's parents, if I'm recollecting correctly. Maybe not, but that one woman looked like his mother. He often casted his, put his parents in his films. I I have to say, I do think this film deserved to win Best Picture, as well as director, screenplay, actor, and supporting actress. Those supporting actors could be also for could go to perhaps the Piper Laurie and Carrie. Both were really good. But I had a last little interaction with the cabbie, just like all back to normal, really. And now we just see we get to see Betsy through the rearview mirror of the cab. Now he she's now back in his life. This shot is like she's like angelic to him, which he's always kind of actually thought of her as really, but now it's kind of like selling that point of him thinking she's an angel. No, he's trying to brush off like what he did, like it's not a huge deal. When in fact it actually would be a pretty big deal. Pimp and guys get killed, all while a kid or a child prostitute is saved. I always liked how you always saw her through the rearview mirror until she got out. And you got to see more of his eyes there. And you are again here too. And it's like he's looking at his own eyeballs now, as Iris said to him earlier in the film. And that is it. That is Taxi Driver. Still a great movie. I hope I didn't bore anybody, and I know I did ramble on a little bit, but this movie is so great that, you know, it's one of those things like where you might love to talk about, you might just get so engulfed in the film that what comes to your mind to say just kind of just isn't very, might not be great in the end, but you know, it's a great film, and it's still a classic. One other thing I want to say before I sign off is that Scorsese and the writer, Paul Schrader, both think that Travis is a ticking time bomb. And even though he, this time he's alive from all this violence and destruction he caused, he's going to just keep going until like perhaps the next one happens. That might be in a few months or years, but one day something like this is going to happen again, and most likely he will not survive. Well, this was Taxi Driver, and I'm Jared Wignall, your host, saying to you goodbye, and hope you had a pleasant time watching this film with me. Goodbye.